Hi. Greetings from rainy Minsk to all our guests. Good morning, guten Morgen to Stefan. So I would like to start this short event where we will talk with our guest about DevOps culture, about it in the particular case, how it works for SAP company. And SAP is our partner for more than 26 years with so many engineers involved that even during the presenters of this conference, we have few people who have been worked for SAP some time ago. So it is hard to work in EPAM and haven't heard about SAP, but Stefan, our guest today, is a business owner of our biggest Jira landscape, one of the biggest in the world, SAP Jira. So he is a business owner and he will talk a little with your help, with your questions about how he sees the necessity of DevOps culture, DevOps framework, why we need that, why we're talking so much about this word, why it's so buzzy, and yeah, about everything. So welcome to our call, Stefan.
Thank you, Konstantin. So thanks for inviting me to this event here. So it's the first time that I'm attending. Would love to attend in person, even if it's raining, but actually currently no chance to do so, but I think we will make the best out of it.
Yeah. We
so
should.
yeah, as Konstantin mentioned, yeah, we are running a quite huge Jira instance for quite a time. And so this is the way how we came to embrace the possibilities of DevOps, yeah, in course of time. Yeah.
So before we'll start, let's say friendly interview, a Q&A session, I would like to remind all our participants that you can and should ask your questions into the Q&A tab in this meeting, and I will try to ask your questions, especially what will gain the most liked questions, and the best questions will be selected by our guest, and you will be awarded by a small but very needed gift. So please, when asked the questions, sign it with your name, not the full qualified domain name, but your personal one. And if your question would be selected, I will also ask you to type your email address or how to contact you after the call. So let's probably start. So could you please tell our meeting participants how you live inside your solution in SAP? I mean, what is the team size? What is the solution as such? Why you need EPAM engagement? Why you need other engineers to work with you? What you're doing?
Yeah. First of all, so the topic and problem at first glance looks relatively simple. Yeah, run a Jira. Yeah, that sounds like okay. That's a standard thing. No big deal about it. Yeah. The problem that we are facing all the time is actually the size and dimension of that one. Yeah. So you might know that Jira is well established tool for backlog management, as we use it, also ticketing, which is not really our case here. The problem, as mentioned, is the size overall. Yeah, we have those 30,000 users per month, different users roundabout, and the number of users was constantly growing all the time. Yeah, so the growth in terms of how many users we have, this is something we do not want to manage for sure, because we are proud of that, and we also need that more and more people are using that. For various reasons, and using it even also deeper in course of time. So some people start with, oh, I just put in some backlog items, but don't really work with it. and just tick it off, and then in course of time that's increased. They create tasks, they go for deeper usage. The other dimension is that we have really many issues in that box and many projects as well. And so since we are running that box, which is now 10 years, we are fighting for good scaling, so that it's always high available for the end users. And that was a struggle over the years. And this is the reason why we have a real team around that. Nevertheless, the team size is not really high. So we have a team of actually now 4 developers, Java developers, caring for our integrations on plugins. There we have for sure a lot, as one of the main tasks of the box is to be compliant with all the ISO certification needs. The complete quality management is actually depending on that the backlog and test entities are nicely maintained and then are reflected in audits in a way so that the auditors are fine with that. And this is actually the highest important topic for SAP. As you might know, if you don't have such a ISO certification, you're basically out of the market. This is something we cannot afford. Therefore, this is all business critical, actually. The other areas that we are doing is actually running the box, and this is where EPAM comes in place. And there also the team size is overseeable. We kind of technically have 2 FTE spread over many people, that are working on our box and supporting that and doing basically all the things that are below the application layer. Still, there is an overlap, and we will come to that. This is where the DevOps comes in. Then we have one more team, now just very recently grown to 4 people caring for configuration changes, and the special needs of the users, also doing end user support. You can imagine that with such a huge amount of users, there's also a very huge need of support all the time.
So basically, the box size and the amount of users is quite heavy in comparison with other systems, even top systems. But the team is very small. But let's scroll the history to like 2 or 3 years back, and where there was no DevOps approach implemented. We had that time, I remember that we had a development team who developed special customization and add-ons. We had some system owners, in system engineer, it doesn't matter. We had some support, 24/7 support, something else. So we have many support, we have some different teams, and they were doing very well. So each of the team were performing well, and they produce a lot of value, and in general the system was also running that time. So now we're running DevOps, so in general, so looks like nothing changed. So
so the paradigm at that time was, as you mentioned, there are those silos. Each silo is working for itself, and performing for itself, and then there is kind of handover of, okay, I have done this and you have the next thing to do. So that was kind of okay, but also at that time our system growth, the growth was still high, but the overall size was not yet so high. So we figured out that we want to grow more. There was a need in the company to grow more, but there was also quite some friction, because the overall experience of our users, we found out, and that's kind of the mindset shift that we need, is also dependent on the working style of all those people that are working here. So actually the mindset shift is step out of that silo and don't say, okay, I have done all my things, but what does the user want? What is the user's need? And then as a second just comes, and who could be working on that. Yeah. And so with that shift of the mindset, actually, we could do much bigger steps forward. Yeah. At that point of time, we still were running on that single node normal, that's called the server license. And so that is not enough. That is basically not enough because it has those scaling problems. Yeah, it's a nice start, but it was already at that point of time overwhelmed the infrastructure, and we had to go. Even we had a huge physical box. I always imagined that the size of a washing machine, but that might not be true. So that did not really work out. Yeah, it was those limits, and the limits were on the technical side. Yeah, this single node and physical machine and several other topics, but also with the team. Yeah, with the team and how the team collaborates. There were limits, and we were touching those limits. Yeah, and to step out of that, we had to technically do this project of moving to what is called data center, which is basically having multiple nodes and a load balancer. Sounds simple and easy, but was a lengthy project to implement. And also the change of the team setup and of the mindset. Yeah, basically regularly working closer together. And what we also had to embrace is completely different cultures. Yeah, the dev team is sitting in Bangalore. Yeah, the team caring for the operations is in Minsk. So myself sitting here in Waldorf, and in dev team, for example, we were using Scrum as the method. Yeah, starting with it quite old-fashioned. Nowadays, I would say 4-week sprints. Wow, nobody does that now, but this was the method when we started with that. Then moving to 2 weeks, still there was a problem and friction because how to collaborate with a team that is actually a support team, yeah, and consists of 2 FTE, so to say, but it's flexible, scaling, more people coming in and out, and is doing for sure Kanban mode, yeah, because that's the nature of a more support-like team, that less stuff is planned, yeah, and so we had to embrace all those worlds, and this is just possible by getting adopted to that and changing the mindset. And to my understanding, we did a very good job with that, yeah, because we were jumping over that hurdle, and we ended those discussions with, oh, this team does this team does that, or kind of also mini escalation, so to say, hey, this does not work out, I complain to my management, and so on. So this is the thing that needs to be avoided because it's contradictory to what your users need. Yeah, and to form a real team, yeah, that is always working together using those cycles of retrospectives, and actually we nearly don't need that. Nearly, I would say, yeah, is this closeness that really helps here. Yeah, that okay, you can always approach this person, and there is also a structure of a common Kanban board where things are flowing in and out. That helps majorly.
As you touch slightly the managerial part of the problem, so the teams are managed by different people, and if I would be your big boss, I would say, let's unite the team, hire one team in one place, tell that some of them is a manager, and would it be better? So I mean that the structure you described is quite complicated in reality. So many small teams located in different cities with different management, different service providers, different companies, and at the end they doing some, as you said, the shared agile, which is like one single view for tasks they all doing. So it is very complicated from a side. So
Yes.
Why it's not better just to have one team with one manager? Then?
It would be, I think it would be helpful, yes. but actually there are always other effects as well. Yeah, there is kind of different. So you have kind of the EPAM people, yeah, external engineers, which we would like to continue working with. You have the people in Bangalore, so there is already some diversity. So this management level just adds one more flavor of diversity. That's for sure. What I would assume to be wrong, and I even did that in the past. So kind of hope and wait that your environment will become better by some miracle. Actually, this never will happen. Yeah, this never will happen because there are other needs. There is kind of management reorganizations due to many other things that don't have to do too much with your shop floor. Yeah, you can raise your finger and say, hey, for us as a project, as a DevOps team, this would be the best setup. Yes, but those topics might not always be considered. So I think actually nobody should be kind of waiting to fix this topic top down. You should come with your grassroots mode. You need to, you need to have a direct management and direct good contacts to do that, and even to do things that are unexpected. But that's the topic of looking outside of your silo. So in my case, my management is heavily encouraging that. Nevertheless, there are also topics due to even accounting of additional resources. This is done by this department, this is done by that department. So there might be never kind of the complete view on all those things. And you might have also seen such things that you are then for some management reporting nearly exactly the same thing, but you change the PowerPoint template to do that. So not so nice, yes, but it's just a fact and you cannot avoid that. Yeah.
So it looks like that DevOps culture just helps you to make the team without changing the role governance, and like
yes.
all people say the same.
Yes. And actually the success supports you. Yeah. When you do that and when you start doing that, there is a tangible success out of that. And then if you have done that, you can always say, hey, dear management, please don't do any drastic changes to that one because we are successful. Yeah, and you are endangering us plus our 30,000 users. Don't do that change, or reconsider what would be best for those 30,000 users. Yeah.
And also I would like to ask some concrete examples. So like we're talking generic, and I think many people would like to see the most tangible outputs. So last 2 years which passed within the new reality. So what it gained in detail. So I mean the pace, the delivery style, the frequency, new changes, cloud. So what changed? So is it the same? So we understand, we're talking with you that like the working model became better, more comfortable. So with the team wise, but in regards to the solution you are responsible for, what was changed in regards to that?
Yeah, so I think the biggest change, and most important change, was this move from the single node to the data center, technically, because after we had done that, the availability and performance of the box was just much better. Yeah, much better. And that, on the other hand, as a team, gave us back control in terms of we were not kind of driven by day-to-day emergencies, but we could be driving things. We could open up towards projects that even gave more benefit to our end users, and that is very important. That is very important. If you're just in the mode that you are driven all the time by some emergencies, then the end users see that, are disrupted, and they will not like that. And with that, that's actually what I meant with the success. Yeah, the success of the team that is quite visible. Yeah, and once in a while, when I talk to end users, they also say, hey, this is all working really smoothly. It's really good. Not everyone, yeah, not everyone. And there are still problems, yeah, as our growth is still going up steep, yeah, and we are always touching the next limit and the next limit. But overall, we did a big step forward. And this big step, which also was a really big project, yeah, a complex project, unfortunately, that only was possible by going for the DevOps mode. Yeah, that was the most important topic. One starting point, actually suggested by Konstantin, was to have the one first face-to-face workshop. Yeah, because just imagine you're working all the time just in a remote mode, Minsk, Bangalore, Waldorf. Yeah, once in a while there is a chance to meet a single person traveling. Yeah, but not all the team is meeting all the team. And so this we did once, only once, unfortunately, until now.
The time is challenging now. So.
Yeah, now it's challenging yet again. Yeah, but it's the icebreaker. It's actually the icebreaker, and you need that. You need everyone at one table and just see, okay, those are human beings. They have, besides this topic, even potentially other topics in their mind. And this is how they work. And so one of the quotes I can give from that workshop was, oh, that just took 30 minutes. I thought it would take a day. Yeah. And so this is the very important thing. So now, yet again, we don't have it, but the initial push is there, and everyone instantly knows, okay, I can approach this and this person to get things done. And I know I don't start kind of assuming, oh, this person doesn't react because he doesn't like me, or I don't know what. Yeah, all those things that are in personal relationship that are very, very, very important. Very important. Yeah.
Would like to ask one question from the chat. So Matthias is asking about what was the hardest part of the shift. So do you see any disadvantages now?
What was the hardest part of the shift? Yeah, actually, I would say the hardest part of the shift is to really change that mindset. Yeah, and jump out of that and just don't run forward faster in the same silo as you were. Yeah, just really taking up, for example, for me, believing in Konstantin's regular quote, hey, let's have a workshop. Let's have a workshop. Let's have a workshop. Yeah. I didn't believe in that might be happening. But then by some ways, yeah, we could get budget for that. We could get time for that and do that. And it worked out. And really believing in that and not just trying to run faster, but potentially not exactly in the right direction. That was, for my understanding, the hardest part, and really believing in that principles every day.
I will repeat the second part, but I think because I think it's important to answer it. Sorry for that. So regarding the disadvantage, so
okay,
finally, I think that there is nothing that can be ideal. So I believe that there should be some issues or maybe things to improve yet. And so can you name anything like that maybe?
Actually, I don't see any disadvantage, to be honest. So there is nothing. There is the only thing that is there is that you potentially make, as usually in agile methods, yeah, you make visible more problems. Yeah, for example, when you have kind of the whole team at the table, you see, okay, we have a gap here in this topic. We would need an expert for this topic additionally. Before that, it was more like, okay, I throw something over the fence and hope that the other team does it. But I don't know really if they have the full expertise and know things about that. Yeah. So the closer collaboration makes things transparent, which can be also kind of painful. Yes. So we cannot do everything. Yeah. It's not kind of where we are the wizards here. But at least it makes it transparent and it opens up towards the next step. So a real disadvantage, I do not see. You could see as a disadvantage, yes, oh, you have to work with this line of business, with that line of business, with this manager, with this culture, with this culture. Yes, you have to do that. So it would be simpler if things were more homogeneous. On the other hand side, as mentioned at the beginning, I don't believe that the one single homogeneous team organization that is really fitting to our needs will be coming. Actually, at SAP, I have seen so many reorganizations that always tackled one smaller problem, but tackling the whole problem via a reorganization, I think that's close to impossible.
Okay.
My feeling.
Okay. Thank you.
Konstantin, are you still there? I just see a frozen picture of Konstantin now. Hello?
Hello. Looks like it has an interruption in the Wi-Fi in office.
Yeah, looks like.
So,
Now I
sorry,
see.
I'm back.
I see your video.
I wanted to ask you one more question about DevOps from a little bit technical perspective. So, in your solution, the term DevOps doesn't mean the team is responsible for everything. So it is more organizational change and the cultural change which unite the team of different skill sets to make them run together and like doing the full scope of the demand to fulfill all needs and deliver the value together. But at the same time, I believe that there are still gaps which the team could not do because of whatever reason is. They can be demanding, the business can demand in some new feature to develop it on some language they never used before because the other way around is not working, or to ask them to migrate the system to different cloud providers they never has experience. So how you deal with such a gap? So how you overcome the technical challenges in the team?
Yeah, so actually we have besides kind of the operations part and the development part and corresponding knowledge, we also have the software provider in that one. So it's not kind of a, I would say, normal DevOps project where you own everything. Yeah, it's not all, just a smaller portion of the software is ours. Yeah, the most of it is still Atlassian. So Atlassian is kind of also a player in that one. Which we try to embrace, but which is also a little bit hard, as the main thing that we get there is stick to the standard and use the standard. Yeah, that's the main thing that we get here. Now, in terms of the problems and roles we do not have, this is for sure topics where we are approaching management, like for example, security topics. Yeah, this was, I would say, mainly self-learning and learning by doing by the team. Yeah, what is needed here, but having a real expert that can help us set up security tests and stuff like that. This is something we still do not really have, which we are eager to have, and where we are also trying to remind our management quite often that this is something that is also needed in such an environment. So it's most team members are leaning out of the window all the time. There's actually nobody in the team where I would say, hey, I'm just doing Java coding and nothing else. No, people are also evaluating new plugins. Same on the operations side. Yeah, I'm just expert in exactly this technology. No, people are stepping out of that. And I think that this motivation is also gained by the common goal, having those users, customers satisfied. Yeah, I think this is the thing that also is driving the team overall. There is many users, many users. You have a very good leverage to improve things, yeah, for many people, which you sometimes do not have too much. Just imagine you have a project where you have a brand new software, you have a handful of pilot users, and that's it. Yeah. Then you're just working with this smaller crowd, but the outreach is not yet there, but is just potentially to be coming in 1 year or so. Yeah. So there's a different kind of motivation here. On the one hand side, it might be painful if something is going wrong. Yes, you get tons of tickets. Yes, for sure. Yeah. On the other hand side, if you go for an improvement, it's really improving the life of many people. And I see that, at least for myself, as the biggest motivation overall, that you can really, with this small setup, with this relatively small team, improve a lot.
And if I also use the help of the audience, so from your point of view, what are the modern or the actual technology that helps DevOps as such? So I will maybe rephrase a little bit and say that the team developing many features which helps not the end users by themselves to deliver better. So can you name any examples?
Yeah.
Exactly,
So
they invent.
the very basic thing for sure is, but I cannot tell too much about that. Actually, you, Konstantin, are the better person, is the pipeline and the automation. Yeah, I think that's kind of the main thing. Yeah, before we did all those things, there was still a lot of manual things. Yeah, a lot of manual things. Deployments were manual. Changes were manual. Then sometimes something was forgotten and so on. That all led to major stress. And going the strict way of automation is kind of the key thing at all to survive with such a small team. Yeah. The pipeline topic, yet again, is, to my understanding, the next level, having a well-functioning pipeline. Yet I cannot tell you too much about that. I just give the team a clap on the shoulders and tell them, please do that. You know what you need, do it. Yeah, I'm not so deep in that topic, to be honest. Then the topics that are more important for me, yeah, and for as a business product owner, so to say, is the way how we communicate. Yeah, and the way how we communicate, basically, there the eye opener was, we are a scattered team and we need technical means to communicate. It's not enough to write an email. It's not enough to just call. You always need to have, and what do we do? A Jira ticket, yeah, for sure, where things are written in. And the other more informal way to communicate all the time is Slack. Actually, also a topic where my developers onboarded me and said, hey, use that. That's great. I was a little bit reluctant because I already have so many channels to work on, but that's also a very important tool. It's super easy to use, and just inside your group, you can add more people to your group. If they're not interested, they don't look at that. So I would say in the core people are always tuned in that channel, but there's also some managers in that channel. I think it's around about 20 people now, much more than we have really active all the time. Yeah, but it's very good to see what's going on. And so it's also the way where you then could refer, okay, we talked about this topic, you were aware of that. And if there is even an emergency, it's easy that someone quickly responds to things. So in terms of tooling, those two topics are very important. And on the automation and on the pipeline things, perhaps you can tell more, Konstantin. I
can have a little hint on that. So the team is using the continuous deployment approach. Means that the changes which they commit into the content management system or to GitHub repos, they go to production without manual intervention. So it is basically unmanaged, except maybe the approval on the Slack communication you have. So are you scary to make something like that for business critical solutions? the change can go to production basically without your awareness, even sometimes if it's critical and security driven.
Not too much, to be honest. Yeah, because actually you always have to see who is impeded most when something goes wrong. Yeah, and that's not so much me. Yeah, for sure I get calls and tickets and stuff, but then in the end, who needs to fix that is the dev and the ops people. Yeah, so their awareness of, hey, we need to deliver high quality with each tiny thing we are putting out there to production, that is very much there. Yeah, we once in a while have and had problems. Sometimes new joinees have to learn and things are going wrong. Yes, that is happening, but it's rare cases. It's rare cases. If you have experienced once, oh, I have to do a hotfix because I did something wrong, and you don't do it anymore. Yeah, that's very, very simple. Yeah, and this diligence is just growing by having the pipeline and having the frequent deployments with the help of. I read another question there. With the help of this data center multi-node, there's also the possibility to have zero downtime deployments, so kind of node by node, which we are using all the time. We are using that all the time, but try to limit things to the weekend. So if it's not super critical, urgent, we always try to have that inside a maintenance window on the weekend where we actually do not have a downtime at all.
And with and this also in the chat, with this zero downtime approach, with automation and systems to manage plugins and code and whatever, how often you deploy actually? How often you deliver new changes to users?
Changes actually every weekend. Every weekend.
And do you remember in the past what was the pace, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or 2 years ago, just to let us compare?
I think in the past it was more or less monthly. Still, we had also hot fixes in between. So it was very much increased. Yeah. And especially, why was it just monthly? Because everyone was kind of sweating. Will it do some side effects? Will it do some changes? Yeah, with a much higher level of automated tests and the full pipeline mode, everyone is much more relaxed about things. Yeah, that's some burden that, to my understanding, is also taken away from the developers. They invest for sure a lot into all those tests. And then we have those non-functional tests running all the time, mainly caring for the load. Yeah, if there is some unexpected thing in the results, then we also instantly would look into that. So the DevOps mode embraces all those quality measurements and monitorings much more. Because that's the thing that is needed for the end user. Yeah, the monitoring also was, I think that needs to be mentioned as well, majorly improved. Yeah, majorly improved. I don't know how long we have Splunk now. I don't know exactly. With this, we also have for some years. Yeah, already running for quite a while. Dynatrace is relatively new, relatively not too old. I think 1.5 years or something like that. But all those things and those measurements have to be taken all the time if you're running such a scenario, which is actually, it's hosted by us, yes, but it's perceived as an internal, as a SaaS service. Yeah, so this thing has to be running all the time, and nobody really understands why sometime during his working time things are not running. Yeah. We always get, by the way, big discussions when we do major changes. Major changes is kind of doing a release change from, last thing was from a 7 release to an 8 release in Jira. You cannot do this zero downtime. Then you need a real weekend and you need a real downtime. This is highly unpopular all the time, yeah, but we still need it, yeah, and also need to take a little bit of the time of the end users to ensure that everything is running smooth in the end. But then you again recognize how dependent people are around the world to have this, perceived kind of as current coming from the plug and water out of the tap service. and who is working when, yeah, things you would not imagine that people say, oh, I'm working Sundays because on Monday I have something to be prepared and whatsoever. So this is just happening when you have those many users.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers and your speech. I don't see any new questions coming into the chat, and I have voiced all of them already, and you have answered. So I think maybe this is already time to decide what questions you like most and like final final words, because we already speaking for 40 minutes.
Yeah, final words. So actually, my learning is you need to believe in it, and even if there are obstacles like, oh, that's complicated, you have to convince many people, just do it. Yeah, just do it. Try to ally with the people that are in favor of that one, and try to do a kind of a grassroots initiative like actually we did it, and then step forward and forward. Yeah. So in our case, there was nobody that said, no, this is the absolute wrong way. Everyone said, okay, you can try that, do that. Perhaps some people liked it, some people liked it less. Yeah, but when the time comes when you will see the benefits out of that, then the discussion is basically over. Yeah, there is no debate about this is not good. Yeah, for example, automation topic. Yeah, well, but I cannot do something quickly manually. Yes, that's true, but that's also a problem. Yeah, that's a big problem. If you do something quickly manually, then that might be forgotten that the next time when a similar situation is, you have to do it yet again. If you put it to automation, which is first of all a little bit more work, sounds a little bit tedious, sounds formal, but it's absolutely helping. Yeah, it's absolutely helping. So we couldn't survive without having things managed in such a way. Yeah, that would be a disaster. And there we also had different mindsets of different people kind of jumping to the problem and doing things right away manually. And on the other hand, no, put it to automation all the time. And that is very much helping. It is very much helping. And I also feel that nowadays many people in their former experience or in their university education, they get that mindset already, that you have to do things in an automated way, and test automation is not something that is a burden for the developers, but it's just a must. Yeah, it's a must all the time. And as mentioned, if you have really harvested that benefit, then I think you instantly like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed that two questions just come. So as we have not too many, I will nevertheless will announce them as we have last moment to do that. So the first is quite quick about the plan to integrate the solution with Jira Align. Do you have any plans like that?
Not now, as this use case is going towards portfolio management, where there are currently other competing solutions in place at SAP, and partly the portfolio part can be done also with plain Jira methods, which is done in one of the biggest branches currently quite fruitfully. And we didn't in detail look into that. It could be one more step in the future, but not an urgent one to my understanding.
And two questions are basically close to each other. The one is about, do you have the agile coach or somebody like that in a team? And the second is you're talking about the philosophy and about the team motivator factors and decisions. So when such a philosophy needs to be maintained constantly. So what are you doing with the team on a regular basis to to keep team trained and keep the important principles with them all the time. So do you have anything to keep the knowledge, the agile philosophy, trainings, people who care about that? So how you deal with that in general?
Yeah, actually, it very much depends on the people. Yeah, that's perhaps a fact. So if you have someone that is absolutely against agile, then that might be a problem. But we have the luxury that everyone is liking that, and that also our management is encouraging agile methodologies. So we don't have a real coach on that one, but I think we also don't need it because kind of everyone is a little bit of a coach. So if we would kind of reduce the agility by introducing other things, I'm pretty sure somebody would be speaking up and saying, this is the wrong way. Please check that out yet again. It's possible to embrace such unagile topics. Yeah, there is always the demand for the next big project. Deliver a project plan. Give us timelines. Give us something. When will you deliver? Which is not really the agile way. Nevertheless, it's understandable that higher management wants to see, okay, we can expect at this point of time something. But the management also already knows that in terms of agility, those plans are just plans and never be reality. So it's kind of okay. Yeah, sometimes we are disappointing management. Yes, we had that in the past. Most of the time, we can convey our message. So inside the team, I would say no problem at all, but that is highly dependent on the people that you have, and there we just have good people. It's just a fact, yeah, to my understanding. And outside the team, yet again, depending on the mindset of the higher management, still there we are also in a good position. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Now I think this is a time where you can decide what questions was most interesting for you or most challenging, or you just wanted to give a gift to someone from the list.
What was
So,
that?
you should see the list of questions.
Yeah, I see the list of questions.
About agile coach, about what was the hardest part, what was the
I think what was the hardest part? What was the hardest part? I've never thought about that before, to be honest. Yeah, there was always this topic was always there, but actually I've never seen that from that perspective. But the answer is just I would encourage everyone to move in that direction because for us, for our collaboration with EPAM, also for me personally, yeah, coming closer to the people, not just, hey, talking to Konstantin like, hey, do something for me, but having a closer relationship is more fun. Yeah, it's basically more fun. It's partly more effort. Yeah, I would be super eager to do our workshop yet again, which is absolutely impossible nowadays. Yeah, but I think we need to do that once in a while. We need to really do that because I feel it will bring us to the next level. Yeah. And so don't be shy to spend a little bit of money for travel, even if it sounds kind of awkward these days. I'm quite sure that the times will be coming when we can be doing that again, and it just helps the topic majorly, to my understanding.
Thank you. So I think, Matthias, if I pronounce your name correctly, we have your email address. So I think the organizational team will manage the gift for you. Thank you for all the rest who has been asking and who has been just listened for the interview. Let's call it like that. So, and Stefan, thank you a lot for your time and for your wish to join our small but very interesting, I suppose, thing to tell people about us and to tell opinions. So thanks again and see you next time.
Thank you for inviting me, and yeah, potentially sometime in person. With
Yeah,
all the
for sure.
audience, but yeah,
That's for
when
sure.
nobody
Next
knows
time,
exactly.
when in the future.
So,
So
yeah.
we can close the live show. Thank you.
Okay, thank
everybody.
you.